Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hybrid Healing Hour. Today, I am super excited to have some guests on that I find very exciting and knowledgeable about a topic that is necessary, I think, for awareness and to get out there.
And I think this is a little different for a wellness podcast, so I'm excited about that too.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about self-defense and how it contributes to psychological development and the human development. And so please, guys, introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, my name is Samantha Borgos. I am the co-founder, along with Alex Borgos here. I'm the co-founder of Sovereign Self-Defense, and we are mostly known for the Warrior Workshop series, which we're going to be talking about a lot today and what's behind that.
And yes, please tell us how your background, Alex, and how you guys decided to do this.
Yeah, she inspired it. So when people love it, it's all me. When people don't love it, it's all her fault. No, I'm just kidding. No, for myself, I was born to two drug-addicted heroin parents in the 70s during that heroin craze that was going through. I'm the baby of 6 boys, growing up around addictions and violence, and that demographic was just my upbringing. Then, at a young age, at 17 years old, I went to the United States Marine Corps. In a very short amount of time, I was air crew on helicopters, a weapons and tactics instructor, yes, a combat Marine, Kosovo, European campaigns, Africa, Middle East. Got out of the Marine Corps, then traveled the world civilian sector doing other businesses. I tried to get out of war fighting for a little bit. And then I guess about a decade ago, Samantha and I, you inspired me and encouraged me to start this business. And we'll get into why. But that's how we got here is I say I have a lifetime of being prepared to be the man in front of the room for self-defense from civilian, military, and organized war fighting.
Wow. And can you tell us how the background of being in the Marines actually helped shape your journey to teach the self-defense?
Absolutely. I guess that just taps into one of the main reasons I went in the Marine Corps. I was actually an ROTC in high school, an Army ROTC. And I was doing this event, a Veterans or Memorial Day event, and I was holding the flag. Now, at these events, they play the anthem or song for each service. The Air Force has an anthem or a song. The Marine Corps hymn is quite popular. Everybody really knows that one. This gentleman in a wheelchair, when it came to the Marine Corps hymn, and they would play the song, and some people would stand up out of recognition. That's the customs. If it's the Army song, you stand up if you were a soldier. Air Force, same thing for airmen. And get to the Marine Corps hymn, and this gentleman started to stand up when they played the Marine Corps hymn, and his family around him were like, "No, Grandpa, you can stay down." And he shook their hand off, was like, "Get your hands off of me. I'm going to stand up." And I wept. I mean, it was from me to you across this table. And I said, "What is that? What makes a crippled man stand?"
Right.
There was a difference when the Marine Corps hymn played, and there was a difference, like the whole room changed. And I was like, what was that? I grew up around addiction and thieving and robbery. And I was like, I saw the Marine Corps sacred core principles live. And I was like, it was just like, whatever that is, I want some of that. That's why I went to the Marine Corps.
I think it sounds like it showed you family. Something that maybe you were lacking in the lifestyle that you were brought up.
Honor, love. I mean, something more important than yourself or even your
loyalty.
Own physical capability.
Good leadership.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does military training differ from civilian self-defense training?
Almost night and day. They are, and I say that, and when we talk about our workshops, we say this is not military training. Like, we're not on a team. We're not putting on night vision gear. And I tell my students, this is even worse for you than some military. Why? We prepare to go to combat. You might be years of training, and then you get on a plane or a ship, and then you fly over there, and you're like, you got these steps. Okay, I'm getting into it. Okay, I'm getting into it. Okay, I'm in it. You know what's worse for you? It's a regular day. I went to Walgreens. Bam. I took my kid to school. Bam. I'm at the dry cleaners. Bam. It's like it's a regular day and it's on top of you. So you got to prepare for that. And
for the unknown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I would say, just to chime in on that, for me, I grew up very different, the polar opposite of Alex. And, I grew up in a very upper middle class family in the suburbs of New England. And, I was not introduced to bad things even happening. I was very delusional. Then moving down to Miami, going to University of Miami, also living in what I thought was very nice parts of Florida. If you came to me and said, do you want to join this big tactical training? I would not be interested. It just wouldn't be something that I felt related to my life, right? Or it would have been too intimidating. I can't do that kind of stuff. But in long story short, how we met, I actually met Alex on our first date. I heard he teaches people how to shoot, and he took me on our first date, which was to the shooting range. But what I loved about it is it wasn't a style of, play military for the day, but really, how do you take the average person that whether they shoot or don't shoot, but their lifestyle is kids, is family, is, like Alex said, going to that grocery store, and how do you build them to be highly capable? And so I feel like that's the biggest difference, to your point, of the military style training versus, what you train and what we train in the workshops.
Yeah.
And I remember when we went through your training course, which we did, and it was amazing. This pervades your whole life, right? I remember you telling us that when you go to a restaurant, you figure out where you're going to sit based on what's going to protect you and your family.
And know your points of exit and how you could get out at any time, because you never know when something could happen.
For sure.
It's good to see you guys.
Yes.
Took on your training.
Oh, I remember. And it's stuff we carry with us. We've implemented things like in our office alone. And I think that's what I wanted to do this podcast mostly, is to make people aware that we might live in Boca Raton and think this is one of the safest cities in, the United States, but we can live in our bubble. But at some point, that bubble is going to be popped or affected by affecting you, or you might know somebody else around you, right?
Yeah. To that point, whether it's Boca, whether it's Palm Beach, whether it's Miami, whether it's New York City, there are different flavors of it. I'd say it's all the same pool, just different parts of the pool. Mm-hmm. Why do I say to train or do something like this? If you have let's say you have toddlers or something, you have a house and you have a pool in the backyard, would it be appropriate to have swimming lessons and make sure they can swim if that's in the backyard?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we're all already swimming. It's called life. We're already in the pool, so you better get swimming. And that's a delusion or something that people have of well, I'm just here. Yeah, don't look up the real data of sex trafficking out of Boca Mall. It'll surprise you.
During the training, when you were rattling off statistics about that in Boca Town Center, I immediately was floored. And I can say that the next time I went, my eyes were wide open.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And there was actually, I think we did our training shortly after, there was a loud noise and everybody thought it was a gunshot, and that was something that was very alarming to see how other people react. Awesome. But yet having the training allowed me to remain calm and make sure we were in a safe place, and so I do believe that it could happen anywhere. I mean, You could be, like you said, you could be at the grocery store, the ATM, it doesn't matter. And so I would love for you to go ahead and tell our audience a little more about how do you define self-defense beyond, I guess, combat or weapons training per se.
Yeah, I can kind of jump into that. So, and we were just talking about this in the car, a lot of times people say, hey, what is self-defense, or why, how does this affect your daily life? And some people listening might not even be interested in guns very much. I know in the beginning, I didn't know anything about guns. I didn't necessarily, wasn't against them. I just knew very little about them. So much so, if I looked at it, I thought it would just shoot me, if I looked at it wrong.
I'd say there's some fear. There's a fear factor for people when they don't know what to do with it. They're fearful of it.
Yes, for sure. And that's good. And we can talk about that later too. Fear is actually good around guns. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? There's a rational fear, but then there's actually a very rational fear that this thing is very powerful, or you're the powerful one, but there is consequence on the other side if you were to maybe not do something correct, right? But to your point around, how does this go beyond just the physical aspects? If you look at, if you ask the question, how does it affect, you guys are both, in the medical industry, right? So how does it affect somebody's psyche or lifestyle as in well-being, when we're talking about well-being, right? If they integrated more courage in their life, if they developed more commitment to things in their life, if they had more self-honesty, as they're going through their life, how would that actually affect somebody and their well-being? Probably pretty significant, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, how that translates to firearms training and self-defense is these are the core values that you have to integrate when you're on the range. When you have a loaded weapon in your hand and you're about to make a decision if you're going to shoot, if you're not going to shoot, you have to be courageous. Yes, you have a loaded gun, You have to be self-honest with yourself. Can I do this? Can I not do this? Am I ready for this? Am I not? So that's the training kicks in, and it requires you to develop those core values far beyond just having guns and shooting guns and going to the range and that kind of stuff.
Oh, you mean you actually provide more training than the concealed weapons certificate you receive at the gun range?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Just slightly. Slightly. There's a little sarcasm in there.
Yes, definitely a lot, because I did that and it was night and day. I mean, what I learned there was nothing.
Right.
That was like, can you aim and hit that target? Can you basically hold a gun, basically,
Yeah.
right? But what you guys taught builds that confidence. Exactly. I went in, I had an accident where I almost lost my teeth when I was a teenager. And,
right.
We were in the fields shooting at tin cans on the wood, like as you see in movies. And I decided to shoot something way more powerful than I could have or should have. Right. And, I was lucky, and, I learned from that. But I admit there was a fear, and you guys definitely helped me overcome that and became a lot more confident and comfortable. And you not only taught me those things, but also how to pick the right gun too.
Yeah.
Like, because what I was told to get at the shooting range from the certificate course was completely wrong for me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really like what you guys teach. And then off topic with guns, like just let alone like the self-defense, we did a full day or 2 days. I mean, you incorporated all those multiple days, but of just self-defense. And I'll never forget that. The question was, who here has actually been hit in a fight? Who has actually been punched or whatnot? And nobody really raised their hand. I mean, I never was in a real fight.
Yeah.
And so I was the guinea pig. You put the helmet on me and you showed me what it's like to really get rocked in the head.
Yeah.
But it was in a safe place,
Yeah.
and that was only a taste.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine like if you were actually head to head with somebody who was going to do that to you,
Yeah.
One of the things that had the biggest impact on me had nothing to do with guns or physical strength, and that's when you had us stand face to face with someone and yell in their face.
Scream.
Right?
It was
And that
more
was-
than yelling. It was amazing.
That was really eye-opening.
Because you don't realize those are the things that you will encounter within 0 to 60, like that.
Right. Around all of that and the different exercises we do, the main point, as I say, make you guys the weapon. Everything else is a tool. So my voice could be a tool, my hands. The most important tool, your attention. That is the primary tool. That's the secret sauce of it. I'll just give it away. We teach people how to pay attention.
Yeah.
And that, attention's not, and awareness is not paranoia. So from there, it's like, okay, now I have reactionary time. It's not such a surprise. I have this distance. Now I can respond and have different tools at my thing. So why do we do voice? A lot of people, that one is really like one of the most uncomfortable things for humanity. It's so funny. And training scar. What have you taught when you went to school? Our industrialized school system is sit there, be a good boy, don't be too loud. Could be cultural, could be generational. Good girls are seen, not heard. Oh, guys don't talk like that. And until recently, very recently in our history, if a woman was getting raped and just froze, that gentleman would walk off. It was half considered consent. That has changed in the law for sure. But just, you hit that freeze. And that has nothing to do with a gunfight. It could be telling your kid, don't go on the road. It could be at an accident. I mean, you guys are in the medical field. Like, you run up onto a car accident, everybody's walking around in circles. You need a leader. It's like, hey, dial 911. It's like just the leadership of voice is so much more valuable. And yes, of course it does come into violence and stuff like that. But that's one of those things that touches all areas of your life.
I think that's a great point, and that's something that I did get out of the training, is you always have to be prepared to take charge.
Yes. So there's a psychological study done, and I know you have some things here if we're flowing, you can tell me, but this one is, they were studying zebras, and they lost track of them. It's like, well, that was Jim or was that Joe? Like, which one was it? You know what I mean? So they actually ended up marking the zebras. Every zebra they marked got 8. The protections from the pack. So in these fight or flight scenarios under high stress, people become pack animals. What do pack animals want? A leader. You know? Yeah. And that's happened. And I've got some youngers coming through, 16 and 17 coming through. But a gentleman finished all of our workshops here recently, just last year, finished level 5. The very next week, unfortunately, there was something that happened in his daughter's school, and she opened her phone and was FaceTiming him. He told her what to do. And unfortunately, teacher was in the wrong place. This one was frozen. 16-year-old became the leader of that room from the leadership of her dad. And that's how important leadership is.
Yeah.
And I know you can give examples on and on and on, never ending, but I think that goes to show the importance of it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, I have other friends who they have a 7-year-old son. They're teaching these things, right? Like, because that's what you have to learn, how to stand up for yourself regardless of where you are. I mean, and if you could kind of touch more on the psychological aspect of that and building the confidence and how important that plays a role.
Yeah. So it to me, 2 things. One, psychologists and doctors, I mean, what's the cause of stress in the body genuinely? What's the physiological expression of stress in the body? All types of things, blood pressures and physical ailments. It's like the number one thing is stress, right? Yep. A good portion of that comes from fear. Why am I stressed? Well, I'm scared. Maybe my resources. I'm not going to pay my mortgage. Kids need private school. This needs that. I need to get this done. That's fear of not being able to do it. Make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, one that many people, we worry about resources and maybe sometimes, your house or security system, but every human being's psyche, if you do not have, it's Maslow's second ring after food and water, is security of body. If you don't have that from you to the end of your fingertips in that private space, your psyche's built on sand. One, fear, impetus, and human beings drop to their lowest level of psychological maturity. Why? It could be business, something gets stressful, and they start talking like a 12-year-old. Mm-hmm. And you're like, hello, are you an adult here? What just happened? Makes sense? So it affects what? Job choices. Fear definitely affects mate choices. Mm-hmm. Self-esteem choices. If you have low self-esteem and you're scared of the world, why do prostitutes go to a pimp? Safety. Mm-hmm. He'll protect me. I mean, I know these are dramatic cases of where fear can affect your life, but physiologically, anxiety in women, you're not comfortable in yourself. We've had students, and one of the husbands was like, oh, your nerves are better. Older couple, they call women's anxiety, your nerves are off shot, He's like, wow, since doing this training, she's more calm. Sleep better. You're more capable. And I don't say the word comfortable per se. I say capable. Go for achievement, don't go for happiness. And you have to achieve capability. True confidence only comes from putting in the reps. The actual capability, not, you're not a virtuoso guitar player by watching YouTube. You can start there, but you got to pick up the guitar. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel this training is for life in all different areas. And how does it affect you psychologically? You come programmed with a certain amount of defenses already, right? Infant, what do? What's their flinch reaction? Ooh, I'm scared. I got to get to mommy. I got to get over here. I got to get to something. If you don't mature that, then you're still looking for mommy or daddy issues or something of that nature.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I can add as a student, for me, when I first started taking level 1, and I live with him, so I get a little bit more private training as well. But I would say for me, it was the awareness of how much I masked that fear of lack of security around my own physical body. I wasn't walking around outwardly saying, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. But what I realized in the training is that is actually running in the background, if you want to call it the subconscious, right? And I wasn't even aware of it until I trained. And I was like, holy crap, I've been walking around very insecure that I've never even punched anybody, let alone a gun, Yeah. And then with training now it really transmutes into a lot of courage, a lot of that confidence. There is a very practical application to putting yourself through that.
Well, and I definitely felt the confidence, I think. And you not only, like you said, about a pack, right? Because you do it with a group and you feel that confidence within the group. And you have multiple leaders, or you are building leadership within that group, right? And it's amazing to see who can come out and be the one on top, or who takes lead in certain situations. And, believe it or not, in the audience listening, it could be you, and you might not think it would be. But so I think that's really interesting. And another thing, Alex, that you taught us, and I struggled with this in my everyday life for a while because of, ADD. But it's routine, right? And consistency and discipline. And I think, can you maybe touch on how that plays a role as well?
Yeah, well, I would say as far as discipline, the highest form of discipline is just a discipline of your attention. Your body goes where your attention goes. If your attention's on things that are not going to be good for you, somehow they keep showing up in your face.
Exactly.
And if your attention's on, higher qualities, things that are going to benefit you, it'll work itself out too. Does that make sense? So the discipline is not, okay, I got to be up at 4:30 and there's too much punishment in it sometimes. Oh, I'm disciplined. Look how much I can suffer. Hold on. Body already knows how to suffer. You know what I mean? You don't have to teach a wound to heal. Like it's discipline of your attention, and there's a fine line between that and suffering. Then it's like, oh man, I got to do this. And then I have to wake up at 4. And then now I have another thing to do. Whereas, what's the payoff? Work from the payoff. What's the benefit of putting the reps in? I'm more capable for myself and my family. Well, that's a benefit worth doing 10 minutes of dry reps for.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Or you got to get up at 4:30 and you got to do this for 3 hours. It's not even good training if there's too much suffering in it, okay? Like, I don't go super drill instructor and hard and I have to, get on people. Like, the training itself is enough. We're training for a worst case scenario, and it's outside most people's comfort zone, for sure.
Yeah.
So guiding and mentoring through that process is more my way than just, being too tough on it. So I would say have that be your inner voice.
Yeah.
You know how self-deprecating are always these two little animals. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done that. Well, if you take any animal in the world and you beat it too much, it never listens to you. So then why would this listen to you? Oh, get up and train. And your body's like, dude, I'm not doing that. Literally,
Yeah.
So discipline of attention, and then consistency. Discipline of attention. Hey, what's the payoff? Put your attention on the payoff. The benefit will be a vacuum and drive, pull you into it, not something you have to force yourself. And then second thing is consistency. I say do 10-minute reps here and there. If you take time, a lot of people go on vacation, right? Okay, so you want this 3-week vacation, month vacation, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. If you just committed to an hour a day, like 5 days a week, that's like 6 weeks of your time on your soul. So what if we just did hour really good? Or we go on vacation, the first 3 days, you're still thinking about work. You get a couple of good days in the middle, then you're on your countdown. 3 more days, I got to be at home. 2 more days, I got to be at home. Yeah. So how much of that time did you actually have, impact on your soul, if you will? Make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas I can do this one thing for an hour, and that adds up to 6 weeks of genuine quality connection with my family. What's more valuable to me? So even your consistency is important. 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there adds up a whole lot more than going to the range for 2 hours.
I like that. I like how that's what we do, trying to do little bits, with our patients is, do your best and do a little bit here every day.
Right.
And don't try to go, run straight a marathon. Right.
Right.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I've heard that learning self-defense or how to defend oneself can actually help with aggression. Have you guys seen this, or
In
do you
what
believe
sense?
this?
Like my aggression towards others or others'
Yeah.
aggressions towards me?
I guess aggressive behavior towards others.
The more you train, the more the world just looks like little kids having a tantrum. You know, the more capable and the more powerful I am, there's nothing wrong with aggression. It's a natural tool. I think it's very appropriate in many areas. Make sense? Somebody kicks in my door at 2 a.m, my family's there, you're going to get aggression for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? However, if you look at, let's say, Marvel shows, all the comic books, all of the movies, all of that has a similar formula. They have a superpower. They feel awkward. They're going to hurt somebody. So they try and hide and stay away from people till they get a teacher. And then that becomes a benefit for everybody. I say that's aggression with human beings. Yeah, you're supposed to bang it out at 12 years old and 8 years old and figure out what it does. You know what I mean? Go fishing in the park and bang it out with your friends and come home with a black eye. That's when you're supposed to figure it out. Now, as you get older, the more capable you are and the more you realize what this is and what you're capable of and
When you say what this is, you're talking about
your own personal power.
Yeah.
You know, the more it's like, yeah, the guys that go to martial arts or jiu-jitsu for 20 years rarely start the fight. Rarely. They might finish it real quick, but they rarely start it. One, there's core principles. There's, if you get too aggressive I have had it handed to me, you know, start getting aggressive, feeling myself, and I'm in my ego, and then the teacher comes around, and all of a sudden I'm staring at the ceiling off my feet, like, what just happened? It's like, just to remind you, hey, be appropriate with where you're training and humble, and there's all these processes that go through it. So as far as your aggression to others, absolutely, it's not the confident dog that bites, it's the yappy one that's scared.
That's a great
I think
point.
that was well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I can I can say this too. So we train a lot of male clients as well as female, but I see a trend in the men a lot. So when we tap into and in the training, when we start actually deliberately working on being aggressive, because like Alex's point, if somebody's in your house at 2:00 in the morning, it's going to require aggression, you know? But what happens is when we start saying, hey, this is good, we need aggression, you know, and we start doing some exercises that might be a little bit uncomfortable, although safe, it's uncomfortable, right, for a lot of people. What I see in the men and a lot of the trend is, you know, they say, oh, I used to be aggressive, you know, like Alex said, at the 12 years old, I used to be aggressive when I was younger, and now, you know, my wife tells me that's not good, or you know, a girlfriend doesn't like it in the past, so I put that aside and I'm not aggressive anymore. So I don't really feel comfortable doing this. And, you know, what I often and what we tell them in the training is in the past, maybe I think, and, you know, you guys can speak more for the men, but it's like aggression is yes, it's natural, but it's been beaten out of men in society, right? It's been toxic. It's been all these terms that we hear now. And so now there's this stigma that if I'm aggressive or if I'm loud as a man, that's bad because I have to be sensitive to emotions and stuff like that. Well, the shift with us in the training is instead of having it be reactive, where you're not in command of it, you're not in command of your own self, it's just a reactive response, you're angry, you get hot-headed or something. That's where we see even road rage and all that kind of stuff. The shift is from reactive to it's a trained response. Mm-hmm. I can be aggressive, and I can be a sweet, loving puppy dog, but I get to decide because my reactions are trained responses now. It's not out of control, it's being in command.
Yeah.
I love that. And like you said, it's knowing your power and knowing when to use it, right? And you not only teach self-defense and proper gun, I guess, safety, but you also work on the mind and body as well. Can you please tell us why? Why is that important and what you recommend for people? And I think that would help contribute to knowing your power and how to control the anger and rage.
Yeah, you want me to jump in on that one?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, my viewpoint on that is And Alex always said, and he said earlier, the highest form of discipline is the discipline of your attention. And if you don't train your attention, then you're, like we just said, it's just all reactionary. So, we always say that, the warrior workshops are actually where personal protection meets personal development. And that is a very, very big difference than just going to learn how to shoot guns, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my end of it, where that comes in, is our Sacred Seven. Me and a good group of men got together, and we, at first, created 7 principles that we would live our life by, that would dictate our actions, behavior, impact, influence in the world. And as that started to unfold, we realized others, it'd be the change. What's the old saying? Be the change you want to see. And that Sacred 7 principles: courage, honesty, integrity, commitment, duty, honor, love. Well, that goes way beyond a gunfight. But, if you're even going to fight with your whole heart in it. There are some honorable, loving fights. If that's me or my family or my wife or my kids, man, my whole heart's in it. That's not an intellectual thing. That's the part where we're getting you to, like, hey, you're the weapon. How do I tap into power? Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's that thing that Marine stood up that would make a crippled man walk? Love for every Marine that ever worn the uniform. And he would not desecrate it by sitting down. That was love. Listen to any Medal of Honor winner that, most of them are posthumous, or if they should happen to be alive and there's an interview and they're like, well, why'd you do it? It was just the love for the man to the left or right of me, or woman, whatever it may have been.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret sauce we're getting you to. Now, be even more love of your family, God, country, core, like whatever it may be for you. That's what we type into.
Wow.
And you definitely make people feel it. I will say that.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I think is doubtful is judging a book by the cover, in a sense of, if you might see, people walking down the street and you're like, you might have somebody who's like morbidly obese, or somebody who might look weak or frail, right? Can you please explain to the audience how everyone is teachable?
It's the willingness to learn.
Right.
From a willingness to learn, look, you said, oh, you make you feel it. I'm not making you do anything. You took delivery. I'm delivering, you open the door and sign for the package. Like, you just took delivery. So if you're willing, I will convey the message for sure. And that comes from willingness. Yeah, whatever that may be. It comes from willingness.
And I mean, we had people throughout the classes. I mean, there were people over the age of 70,
Mm-hmm.
I think,
yeah.
there. And I don't know, do you know, like, the age ranges that you guys have?
8 to 80.
8 to 80.
I say as a joke. No, I
Yeah.
mean, we've done teenagers. We have had, people come. They're not in the workshop. It is, a mature workshop. I don't change it. We've had families come out and like do little shooting or 22 or stuff like that with their kids. As far as the workshop itself, it's been 14 to 84. Yeah.
Yeah, the beauty is that it really is built for, you got to work with what you got, you
Right.
know? Like, if you have a bad knee or you've got arthritis in your finger or something, you got to figure it out, and you got to learn to defend yourself. So we will work with that. It's about working with what you're at, where you're at with what you've got. So some of our best students are in their 70s.
Yeah.
I can think of a few. It's
Yeah.
like, which is shocking, but you're like,
Yeah.
damn, you're better than half the room.
Because I think there's a lot mind over matter in this. And I think if you can, like you said, the willingness, if you really want to take this serious, you can learn a lot from it and you can go further.
Yeah, some of the best people to train that I've seen in my experience are people that have life experience, right? If you've ever been confronted with life, meaning maybe you've been in a situation where, oh, that could have been really, really bad. And I'm sure everybody listening can think of something where, oh, I should have left that bar a little bit sooner, or you did leave that scenario and something happened and you're like, I knew that was going to happen, So it's like people that have had like some life experience under them, they know the brutal facts of life. Those are often the best to train because they have the willingness and they go, oh yeah, I've seen some stuff happen. I know it's possible. I need to actually take this to the next level.
And I think the ones that haven't had something happen to them are living under a false sense of security.
Right.
Nothing's happened yet, so I'm fine.
I say they're floating down the river of denial in the USS Delusion.
Yes.
That's humor. With that, I'd like to say something about the new generation too. We're talking about some of the more mature people in it. However, as much as I see in the news in the world, all this next generation and the phone and stuff like that, we've got a few coming through that I'm blown away by. They're better than the adults, at 15 and 16 and
The
17.
Gen Zs, they're
I'm just like blown away.
Oh, that gives me confidence now.
Yeah,
in the
they're
younger
like, we're
generation.
homeschooled and I want to do this. And I was asking about how super intelligent, mature. We've even hired one. She's starting to do some of our social media stuff. I mean, like, Sam came home the other day and was like, man, she's doing that like even better than me. I'm like, awesome. So it goes both ways. But what comes down to it, their desire. You said something earlier I'd like to kind of put a little play on when you said mind over matter. And this mindset thing is so popular in the world. Mindset, 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 mindset. I say it's heart over matter. Do it with a lot of passion.
Okay.
That's what I tell people. Do it with a lot of passion. Your mind only gets you so far. And when the proverbial stuff hits the fan, you're going to need a lot of heart in it. That's commitment. That's where commitment meets the road. You know what I mean? The mindset is awesome. Here's my mindset. I'm going to do this. Cool. I find passion has a lot more gravity to it.
That makes sense. I mean, you can talk about it, but you got to be about it.
100%. And it's an intellectual, and they go together. I mean, you're in the medical profession. There's more neurology here than there is here, isn't there?
Yep. The gut-brain axis.
This is where we're training it. Who was the first to really touch on that? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, I would pay attention to the muscle. I'd put my attention on the muscle. He would put a guy through a workout, his same exact workout, and have him talk about something else in the workout, and watch the results go through the floor.
Yep. You have to have intentional workouts, right?
Right. So
Exactly.
that's attention. So I put my attention on what muscle is going to grow, and while I'm working out, my full attention's here.
Yeah.
That's how important attention is. And then, when the time gets down and out, it's passion that drives through.
Passion adds fuel to the fire.
There you go.
It definitely does. I love it.
So what advice would you give someone who feels powerless or afraid to take the first step towards starting some kind of self-defense training?
A great way, if look, and we've had it where there's some real, heavy trauma, attacks, sexual violence, something like that, or people shot, things of that nature, and or robbed with guns. And listen, it's appropriate. Am I just going to throw them out there the first day? Probably not. There's some genuine steps. So I would say it depends on you. Okay, is there some real genuine trauma there? You know what? Maybe just go online and just look at our website and read through it. That might drive some I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
Good. We'll feel that. Then, maybe give us a call. Take it one step at a time and we'll talk you through it. If that's us. If it's not us, drive to where they train MMA and don't even get out of your car. Just go sit in the parking lot and watch people go in and out for 10 minutes. And take it step by step, whatever those steps are for you. If it's guns you want to get into, maybe drive to the parking lot of a gun store. Maybe just go inside of it and hear the cracks for 2 minutes and then leave. Don't even shoot. I see that when people have too much fear and they go with somebody, they're like, oh, come on, I'll take you. And then throw you in there and they're shooting and it's like 20 other people shooting. It's like, whoa. And then it makes it 10 times worse.
It could definitely be overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
That's the word, right?
A lot of times people leave more fearful than
Exactly.
not. And, I would add to that if anybody's listening that maybe is saying, yeah, I have a lot of fear. I've wanted to do that, but, they're kind of one step in, one step out because of that fear. As you're looking for companies or individuals to train you, look to see if the leadership of that company or that instructor actually has the values, that you want to actually take on. Like Alex said, just like any industry, right? There's a lot of good and there's a lot of not so good. So the firearms industry is no different, and on the instructor side too. I'm not knocking anybody, but it's just different types and different styles, right? So you got to see, is that leadership, is that instructor, is that team Like, do they represent and have those core values that I actually want to take on? I want to become more confident. I want to become more courageous. You know, I'm not looking to become military. You know, I just want to be a well-protected mom or dad or something, you know. Right. Is this the right person for me to develop those qualities?
Absolutely. I love how you said that. And I have one last question, and then we'll probably wrap it up here. But what are the most common misconceptions that people have about self-defense and firearm training?
I'm going to have to put on tactical clothes and roll around in the mud and somebody shoot over my head, or I'm going to have to get punched in the face. I'm going to have to lose a tooth. Like, I have to jump out of a helicopter. I'm being dramatic with it. But, you know, they look at maybe Navy SEAL shows and the popularity of military movies. And it's like, oh, I got to do boot camp. No, not necessarily, you know, and I would say that's one of the main misconceptions. I got to get there. Everybody's going to be 6'3", jacked through the gills, like screaming and yelling and going full boot camp. And it's like, no, it's not, you know, even those men that look like that in those movies are made after. I would appreciate in some of those movies, they show how much they actually care about the people around them. Like, you know, when a Marine is hard on, you know, the privates or sergeants or whatever the rank may be, it's because they know, like, we're going to train this way because when we train, we bleed less. I'm doing this because I love you. Makes sense? And that's the part that's missing. And that's the main misconception. Like, there's this whipping going on, you know? I mean, you guys experience it. I train with I've got no shields up. I've got nothing. And I let everybody know that, you know, I care. Like I truly care. This is important to me. Fair. And I would say the big misconception on it is like it's all punishment and drill instructor. That'd be mine. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm going to add one thing. Is the biggest misconception that I see around firearms, self-defense, is that that you shouldn't have any fear. One of the first things that we ask people in our level 1 training within the first 15 minutes of their arrival is, what are your fears around guns? You know, power, aggression, violence. And no matter what, in a group of about 10 people, there's always one person that says, I don't have any fear, right? And we dive into that a little bit, right? Fear is a good thing. And sometimes that comes from, I shouldn't have fear. I'm a male, or I've shot guns my whole life, or I've been hunting my whole life. And they think, hey, I shouldn't have any fear around guns, right? Or power or aggression or something. And the reality is there's a lot of fear around those things, and there should be, right? If you're faced with like aggressiveness, you know, and somebody's attacking your family, like, you're going to feel fear. Now, the antidote to that is feeling courage and getting the job done anyways, right? So one of the biggest misconceptions, in my opinion, is that you don't have to you shouldn't have any fear. It's all going to go away. You're just going to be this hard charging military guy, like Alex says. And the reality is you're going to feel fear. Now, how do we transmute that into being more courageous and bold?
And I think people don't realize you can always fear the unknown of what the outcome might be.
Sure.
That you don't know how this is going to come, you know, turn around.
Right.
So
it is an unknown.
Well,
So
go ahead, please.
no, I was just going to say, before we tell people how they can get a hold of you and learn more about you, I have to say, personally, taking your course was one of the best things I ever did. And
Wow.
I second that.
I highly recommend it for people, but more importantly, to get your loved ones through the course. Because if there's someone you care about, you want them to be prepared.
Yeah.
And I think every single person, regardless of age, regardless of conditioning, will benefit from this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that was my eye opener when we had our group of 10 and we met so many different people, so many from different backgrounds, like you said, Sam. Like, you know, it's just, that was eye opening. And I, you know, you guys are on our referral list, and like you said, if you guys aren't the ones that our audience doesn't feel they'll mesh with, there's many out there, and I'm sure they can call an interview.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Ask a lot of questions, do research. So thank you so much for coming on and bringing awareness to everybody out there. And hopefully we need to get people stepping out of the little bubble and get to reality.
Yeah. looking forward to it.
Well, thank you all very much for
Yeah.
this. This actually made my day. It was fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Good. Now, can you please tell them how they can find you? You mentioned website, social media. I know, Sam, you're all over social media. I love it.
Yes. So on Instagram, we are at The Warrior Workshop. And our website is sovereignselfdefense.com. And if you don't know how to spell sovereign, I'm sure you'll link it below.
Yes, I will. I'll put
That's a
everything in
common
the show
question
notes.
I
Yes. I'll have everything in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate it. Fantastic.